Okay, greetings from Govardhan. Sorry about last Wednesday. We ran out of GBs, the gigabytes, whatever it is, and I didn't know. So, Lakshmi Moni Mataji, Haribo, we are waiting for you. Okay, so actually, let me start. We're doing the Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa, text 189. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Caitanya-bhāgavata Janmila Moragari Eta Bale Nachi Prabhu. Wrong verse. 1 second. No. It's 189. Sapārṣade Śrī Gaurasundara sei-kṣaṇe āvirbhāva hailā advaita-bhavane. At that moment, Gaurasundara and his associates arrived at Advaita's house. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Sri Caitanya-manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita-bhavane Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So settling in Govardhan, and some of you know Vikram, he did a great job fixing up my place. And we're going to have a little ashram, and there's 4 more apartments. And of course, it's nice to live in a city of devotees. I went for the groundbreaking ceremony of Bhakti Began Goswami. What's that place called, Mukunda? For Sri Rupa Seva Kunj. 6.5 acres of just beautiful land where you have the best darshan of Govardhan Hill, where it reaches its peak. It's its highest at that point. And I went to it was just, I was actually the only, I think, Prabhupada disciple there. Very intimate, groundbreaking ceremony. Very, very simple. But it had a Brijbasi Brahmin. And when you hear them, they have this raspy voice. And it's very loud. And what you understood, if you ever had like a crisis reading the Shastra, how did they hear the class in Naimisharanya with all the sages do you understand that people had microphones in their throats? Amplifies. I mean, and it was so sweet. And then they planted 4,500 trees. So it was nice, and to get Bhakti Began Goswami's association. Lakshmi Moni, you will be here soon. And you'll be in the association of all these.
I hope that's a blessing.
Well, you will. And it's also kind of a nice kartik because There's not that many people here. And how many can you associate with anyway? So you kind of get more intimate association. I have a few people that come to class every day, and that's also nice, giving class every day. I'm doing the Venu Geet, but in a very appropriate way. And but today we'll do the Caitanya-bhāgavata. So yeah, and at the age of 71, becoming a student. I registered. The registration was the most arduous registration in the world. Leave it to the Indian government to ask questions that they'll never use. It just, and they'll ask them twice. I don't know how many times I had to give my father's name. And then you have to put it in and get a password, and then you have 10 minutes to fill it out, otherwise it disappears. So yeah, that was my entrance price. But there was a very nice sadhu. This is also interesting. There was a very nice sadhu who was filling out my form at the Jiva Institute. Very nice sadhu, very, his hair in a ponytail, nice beard, and he was wearing a dupatta, I think the sadhu vesh, the charter, very nice. And I was on the phone. We couldn't do it on the phone. It was impossible to do on the phone. So I had to come from Govardhan to Vrindavan. And on the phone, he kept on calling me Swami, and he was so respectful. I never gave my legal name, so I couldn't figure out how he was calling me Swami, because all he had was my legal name. And then after he filled out the thing, I said, "How do you call me Swami?" He said, "I listen to your classes online all the time." So I thought, oh my God, I'm becoming famous. So very nice person. I'm glad he was so helpful. That was so nice. So we're doing Caitanya-bhāgavata, which is so sweet, because what is Caitanya-bhāgavata? But it's the mind of Radha. Caitanya-bhāgavata is the mind of Radha. It's the way. Why is it the way to enter into Krishna Lila? Because it invokes the mood of service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the mood of service is what the mood of service means, you have to know someone else's desire. And in the mood of service, it gives you a perception of someone else's desire, and it inspires the other person to reveal to you their desire. So when that's why Narottam Das Thakur says that when you dive deep into the Sankirtan pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you wind up on the shore of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Because with that mood of active service to the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which includes hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you become in touch with his desire. And what is his desire? What is his mind? His mind is Braj. Why are we worshiping? Why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why was Rupa Goswami said, Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadama, that Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam, he understood the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The person who understood the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote all our Rasika literature, because that's the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And how did he understand the mind? Why was that revealed to him? Because Lord Chaitanya saw his service. Two things. He saw his service you don't give your heart to someone you don't trust, and you don't trust anyone who doesn't have a mood of love to you, a mood of service. So when you have a mood of service, then someone trusts you with their heart. And what is Vraja Bhakti? It's understanding God's heart, because that's what Krishna is. Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He means he's the full embodiment of God's heart. Akila Rasamrita. He's the nectar of all relationships, because he's revealing his intimate side. So who understood that? Those who had the mood of service. So it's so important to actually hear Gaur Lila, also when you're in Braj, because it helps you to understand the consciousness to be here and the mind that you should aspire for. Yesterday, it was very nice, and this is a very small group, Mukunda, but I would say I have a friend of mine, well, mother-in-law, who I'm her Siksha guru, and a very elevated soul. And she found out she had stage 4 cancer. So Radhanath Swami doesn't do Zoom initiations. It's not his sadhu bhav. But what can he do? She has stage 4 cancer. So he did it, and unfortunately, there's a few people. I was invited. Mandakini, who is her mother, guru, everything, and then her counselor, and Bhakti-Vigan Goswami. So after Radhanath Swami spoke and initiated her, and for Russia, it was very special, even for Radhanath Swami, because if some of you have been at initiations with Radhanath Swami, there's, sometimes 130 people. And then you have the fire yajna in someplace else, and I don't even think you recite your vows, you tell them to someone first or something. So here it was, her Diksha guru, her Siksha gurus, there. So even it was very, very auspicious. But when Radhanath Swami asked me to speak, and I try to be considerate, it wasn't time for me to give a long lecture. I just gave some blessings. I said that tomorrow, which is Ekadasi, I'm going to do Govardhan Parikram, and I'll pray for her, etc. Radhanath Swami got so excited because he said, "You mean my picture is in Braj now?" He felt like on the Zoom, he was like he got so excited, like he felt, and then I thought, wow, yeah, his little picture is on my screen from Chicago, and now he's kind of in Braj. And then Bhakti-Vigan Goswami spoke from Udupi. He had to go there for a few days. Radhanath Swami was becoming very excited. So I'm sure he'll be in the Holy Dham soon and be in the Echo Village. So anyway, I said something about Gaur Lila, and it's nice doing Gaur Lila here. And it's actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now, he was on his way to Braj, to Vrindavan. Now he's heading back. I don't think he went there. This is the fact about God. I was writing about this morning, that the time, space, cause, effect on which reason is based, God is beyond that. He's beyond this world. So his will, you can't really figure out his will. So he goes, he comes, it's spontaneous. So he's going and then he's coming back. And then on his way, before he gets there, I kind of look at the Caitanya-bhāgavata as kind of like a transcendental Google map that can move to different places and like, zoom in and, so it went right with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then it goes right to the house of Advaita, because he's on his way to Navadvip, he's gonna go to, on the way to Navadvip, he's gonna go to Shantipur. So you see the house of Advaita, you see what he's gonna come to. And you see it through and it's kind of a theme in Caitanya-bhāgavata too, that some people who were followers of Advaita became envious of Chaitanya because Advaita was older. And he was the Acharya. It was Advaita Acharya. Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Advaita was the Acharya, but Advaita accepted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as God, which was a problem for Advaita because he wanted to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and service is a mood. And what is the mood of service? To God, it's prabhuta gyan, not this is great. He wanted that mood of dasya towards Chaitanya, but Chaitanya had the mood of dasya to him. And when you're in the mood of service to someone superior, you would shudder of thinking them serve you. Imagine if Prabhupada wanted to pay, I can't even say it. If Prabhupada wanted to pay his obeisances to me, just like, I'd have to preach Maya body philosophy, so he'd beat me. So I would feel like, so that's what happened. Advaita had to preach basically Maya body philosophy just so Lord Chaitanya would take the superior position and he could have his bhav. So anyway, but we see there's a great sensitivity of the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Advaita's house. So what happens is this pure sannyasi comes to the house. I don't know if he was testing Advaita or not. So he said, who's the sannyas guru of Advaita Acharya? Who's the sannyas guru? Now, Advaita is intelligent and he's realized, and it means you communicate. So you don't just give answers, you give answers that people could understand. I always make that point. Our business is not just speaking the truth. Our business is having the truth understood. And some people only get half of it. Prabhu. Mukunda is here with me, and he always tells the story. I'll embarrass him a bit. When he was just getting married, he was young, and he was coming to the temple, and his wife didn't know that he was becoming a fanatic Hare Krishna. So they took him into the temple, and she doesn't know what's going on, and he starts dancing like a madman, completely insensitive to how his wife feels or what she's seeing. He's just dancing like a madman, right? And then what mistake did your wife make?
She drank at the front of the deities.
Yeah, she took a glass of water in front of the deities, and they attacked her. They told her the rules, which freaked her out even more. So here she has her new husband dancing like a madman, and these people ready to kill her because she drank water in front of the deities. But they told the truth. But they didn't know how it would be understood. So Advaita was very sensitive. How will the truth be understood? How will it be understood? So he said, because who can be the guru of God So should I give the worldly answer that he can understand? Or should I give the transcendental understanding that he can't understand? He said, better I don't call it, I'll just say, who's the sannyas guru? Keshava Bharti is the guru. And then his little son walks in, dirty from rolling around upstairs, outside, naked, and hears this and gets so angry with his father. How can you say someone is superior to God? How can you say someone is the guru of God? At the very beginning of, and then they realized that this boy is just extraordinary, and everybody was just, this is Achyutananda. There were 3 sons that were faithful, and there were 3 sons that got hung up on, my father is not being respected. This was Achyuta. So now, after we have that scene, the transcendental Caitanya-bhāgavata Google map brought us to the house. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming. And and he arrives with his associates. Why does he arrive with his associates? Because how is God defined? God is defined by love, just like we're defined by love. If you're not a friend, a mother, a child, a lover, then who are you? Without associates, you have no identity. That's who you are. So Lord Chaitanya's identity is his associates. You can't be God and be alone. That's Mayavadi philosophy. God means with the associates. He has his associates, especially as he has a mission. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. And his mission requires associates. You have a mission, so he comes. Prananatha, it's so interesting. After all these words, a lot of us know, so we can understand the Bengali. Prananatha, Ishtadeve, advaita-bhavane, Padalini Pritaviti Dandavat Hoya. So we can understand Prananatha, Prana, the life, the Lord of my life, my worshipable Lord. Ishtadeve, the Prananatha Ishtadeve means my worshipable Lord, but it's just said in a more beautiful way. With rasa, these words have like real juice. Prananatha Ishtadeve, Advaita Dekya. So Advaita sees his Prananatha Ishtadeve. And what happens? Padalini means he falls. Pritaviti, the earth. Pritaviti Achi Yati Nagarati Gram. Lord Chaitanya spread Krishna consciousness to every gram, village on the earth. Dandavat Hoy. He fell to the ground offering obeisances. Obeisances. And in the Bhakti Sandarbha, which I was fortunate to study, even before it was ever published in English, the translator gave me a copy, which I still have. The copy is famous for many reasons. I'll tell you one of the reasons the copy is famous, because I was reading and I had so many notes, and it was such a cherished book of mine. I don't have it here, but I had so many notes. And then Raghunath was visiting me, and he said, "What's that?" I said, "It's the Bhakti Sandarbha." He said, "What's about?" "It's the main essay in Bhakti." He said, "Can I borrow it?" I said, "Yeah, but be very careful. It's only one copy." So he went out on my porch, he fell asleep, and the monkeys ripped it to shreds. Monkey. I still have it with the scotch tape pasted. It's but it describes the different processes. And padasevana means to worship the feet, but what it really means is humble service. For example, serving the Dham is padasevana, paying obeisances. And what it says there is paying obeisances is not just a physical activity. It's putting your body where you want your mind to go. And that's why we do parikram. We put something else in the center. It's a physical act, but it's supposed to also bring your ego out of the center because you're putting something else in the center. When we have ego, we not only have the consciousness, we try to occupy the space. So it's also helpful to move out of the space. And one space is like in Vrindavan, there's the tall, stately trees, the aristocracy. You keep your head up high and you slowly move your head. And then you go down like Akrura. When he came to Vrindavan, it said he gave up all attachment, pride, and fear. And how did he give up all attachment, pride, and fear? He fell to the ground and he rolled in the dust. So attachment, what is attachment? I'm a Krura. I'm a Krura. I am the high intelligent confidant of the king. And in India, when you have position, you have position. Like if you see the police chief in New York, it's like an ordinary guy. I mean, you can't distinguish him from anybody else. You get the police chief in India, he lives in a castle, and there's 300 policemen standing around doing nothing. The police chief of one district, he picked me and Vikram up. That's a whole story. He picked me and Vikram up, and I had a police escort to his place. And he has like this, I can't explain what it's like. And all these, and they're all serving me, and the cooks that they have. So Akrura being like the chief. And not only that, he had the ego of a new chariot. That's how Kamsa tried to attract him to go. He said, I just got a new chariot. Well, he liked it because it was a new chariot, because he could offer it to Krishna first. And therefore, even though Ekadasi, he didn't sit on the chariot, he stood up all night because he wanted to offer it to Krishna first. But in Kamsa's mind, he knew men like machines. Men like machines. So a new chariot. So you can imagine all the prestige that comes with that. And then falling on the ground, Dandavad. And what's the consciousness according to Bhakti Sandarbha? I am less. I am inferior. Not to everything, but to God. And to God who you see in everything. I remember one sadhu, I knew he was in a temple, and then he kind of got fried with the management. And he came to Govardhan for about a month or two, and then his guru got him back. But he told me, he cried. He saw Govardhan, paid his obeisances, saw the sadhus, paid his obeisances, the Bhagavatam, paid his obeisances. And that's actually happiness, because happiness is the mood of service. It's not the mood of ego. I described this many times. We have the false faith. Prabhupada said, what is faith? Unflinching trust in something sublime. So we have faith in ego, superiority, control, enjoyment. But a person has real faith, the right faith, Shraddha, his faith is in service. And therefore he likes that position because that's the position where he has devotion and love. So he goes down. And pride, attachment to the position, any pride, and he gave up fear. And what's the fear? He's being sent to get Krishna and Balaram so Kamsa could kill him. And now he's paying obeisances to the land of Krishna. And you know, it's a village, so there's Caitanya-bhāgavata. And you never can tell who's there, but they say, oh. Vikram tells me you got to be very careful here. The bridge basis, they're always looking, and if there's something that doesn't make sense, then they tell the next one, and it goes around. It goes around. It's called Caitanya-bhāgavata. So Kamsa could kill him easily. You paid obeisances to Vrindavan. So here's Advaita, it's the same thing. He sees the Prananashta Ishtade, but he's Advaita Acharya. The normal person, I'm Advaita Acharya. I'm the one that petitioned God. I'm, that ego comes so much with position that Brihaspati, that Indra, who's the king of heaven, he was sitting on the throne and his guru, Brihaspati, and I'll say it as Tamal Krishnamurti would say it, who was no slouch. He was no slouch. If you don't understand that word, anyway, you get the idea. He was something, Brihaspati, and Indra didn't get up. And and I don't know if it's the Vedic law, the Vedic culture, or the Vedic science, but they say if a superior comes in and your life air rises, and if you don't stand up, you lose part of your life air. So Advaita Acharya, what does he do? Immediately, I was speaking to someone today that the best definition of culture I've seen is how your environment is scientifically and consciously organized to create impressions in your consciousness that enable you to relate better, to communicate better, and to learn better. And if you think of a cultured person, that's what they are. They know how to relate to people to extract the love in that relationship. They know how to communicate people, to express the love in relationships. And they know how to be a student. Another example is Tamal Krishnamurti when he went to the university, because he was trained in Krishna consciousness when he went to the university, and he had a distinguished professor advisor. He would carry his books to the next room. That didn't come from him growing up in New York. That came from living in India and learning the culture. Okay, I think Hari Bale Śrī Advaita Karena Hunkara Premanande Deha Pasariya Apanara. Advaita cried out the name of Hari, and ecstatic love forgot about his own body. That's why he's Advaita Acharya. That's what bhava is. Bhava is when your heart is affected by the object of your love. And if it's not, the Bhagavatam says it's steel frame because you've committed offenses. That's sensitivity. that sensitivity, the soft heart, that's the symptom of bhava, is the soft heart. I'm sitting actually in a funny way because this is Vrindavan and I sat in my chair today and it broke. But I have to be kind of cognizant here that I'm not the control. I was all set at my desk to get my work done. I went back and it kept on going back and it never came back. So that's, but you know, when you're here in Govardhan, that's ecstasy, right? That's ecstasy. Yeah. And the worship of the deities. I don't think there's roses any place in the world but Vrindavan. That's my experience. The fresh roses. And what's the other flower, Vikram?
We got champak.
What, and champak, we had champak flowers and
White dandelions, these white flowers.
yeah, it's just the abundance of flowers, especially as it gets a little colder, actually. The winter here is when
Also, we're getting jasmine from South India. Well, that's
Okay.
one thing that's coming from South India. but
jasmine
everything else is
too.
here.
Ooh. So out of ecstatic love, he forgot his body. That's samadhi. I described many times that the difference between samadhi, the 8th stage of Ashtanga yoga, and dhyana, the 7th stage, because they're both constant meditation. But in samadhi, it goes to the level where there's no cognizance of anything outside the object of your meditation. There's no cognizance. And therefore they have that verse, which I quote many times, Evam vatas swapriya nama krita chitanuraga, that in this way, chanting without attachment, without any inhibition, the names of my beloved Lord. From that, jitanu raga, from that comes raga, and then you're crying and laughing. And here it says also, it's what he cried out the name, it said hunkara. Hunkara is one of the sattvika bhavs. It's your roaring. You just can't, you're overwhelmed. So he's completely overwhelmed. Jaya Jaya Kara Dvani Kari Nari Gani Utila Paramananda advaita-bhavane. The ladies made auspicious sounds, and Advaita's entire house became filled with ecstasy. So the whole house is of devotees, and they all have that mood. Before I came here, before I came to India, I was staying at my doctor's house, who also hosted my Vyas Puja in this hall that they have in their medical complex. And their father died recently, but their mother is there. You can just see her power, not a minute, literally speaking, not a minute is wasted in devotional service. She's chanting and hearing all day. And because there's 4 brothers and things, and you can just see it affected the whole family, it affected the whole house. And when I come out from the veranda, the room they give me, I look down to their living room and their whole thing. One of the brothers is chanting, another is doing mantras. Then they're engaging all the children now, because I gave them Radha Krishna deities about 20 years ago, Radha Vasant Bihari. And children are doing different artiques during the day. They have a full puja and different prayers and different readings and different all day long. And it's just so powerful. So you can imagine, this is today. I'm impressed with that lady, my God, nonstop. Even when she's eating, she has an iPad playing a lecture. While the rest of the family is just Caitanya-bhāgavata, they're allowed. They're not at that level. Just like that. So what to speak of Advaita's house? Can we imagine? And then God comes to their house. And then they see Advaita-charya, the patriarch, just fall on the floor in ecstasy. And then there's an effect. There's an effect. The mind can have a tremendous effect. For example, if you perfect ahimsa, the prakriti, the material benefit of perfecting ahimsa is that your mind creates such a vibration that no one could be violent in your presence, even a mongoose and a cobra. And a mongoose and a cobra are considered the deadliest enemies in the world. There's no one that hates each other as much as a mongoose and a cobra. I always root for the mongoose. Because the mongoose don't bite us, the cobras, they can potentially. That's the only thing I don't like about Govardhan is during the festivals when they have that Cobra Sankirtan. Hey, where you coming from? Oh, good, New York. You like to give a donation? We're feeding snakes in our village. So, Prabhu O Karila Advaitara Nijakole sei-kṣaṇe Ange Tanra Premananda Jale. The Lord reciprocated by embracing Advaita and then soaked Advaita's bodies with tears of ecstatic love. Sometimes Prabhupada has statements. Prabhupada has statements in his books that are very powerful sutras. So he said 3 words: Krishna is responsive. That's the whole philosophy of bhakti in 3 words, with the path of grace. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam mam dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mam upayanti te. To want to worship it, love and I give. That's the whole process of bhakti. Krishna is reciprocating. So Advaita gives his heart, and the Lord gives his heart. But how does the Lord give his heart? In love, because he's also crying. He's also overcome an emotion in association with his devotee. Chatur deke bhakti gan karena krandana ki abhuta prem sneha nayaya varnana. The devotees on all sides began to cry. The exhibition of such wonderful love and affection is beyond description. So this is what we're hankering for. We want these soft hearts, we want these emotions. And what do? We count the number of likes we get on Facebook. We join with others, finding somebody we can put down to increase our own status in the world. But this is what we want. We really want the real Sangha of devotees. That's why I like being here, because it's so nice for me to do this every single day. Because I give a description of the spiritual world. Why is Vrindavan and Govardhan the spiritual world? Because no one works here. No one has a job. Yeah, even Kalyana is here with his 3 kids. His daughter comes every single day with her father, and she takes a nap. But very well behaved, very, very well behaved. And I see her walking around the complex with her. How old is she?
6.
She's 6 years old. But where else? Where people don't have jobs. So they can come and they can hear, and I can speak every day. And I didn't know who would be here because it's not normal Kartik. But somehow, one person shows up, another person shows up, and I have a few people. And it's really the highlight of the day where we actually speak Krishna-katha. You can see how important it is. And why I like to speak on Caitanya-bhāgavata. We're actually doing the Krishna book, reading it. And you can see how this is Rasa Shastra, because what's it really describing? It's describing Priyojana. What is the experience of those who understood the truth and performed the practice to realize it? They feel the truth. And we discussed this before. The goal is not understanding. The goal is feeling. But you need understanding for the feeling. But the understanding is not the goal, because the gopis, Prabhupada said, they didn't know Krishna, they just loved Krishna. Stira hoy, sheneke advaita mahasai, vasite asana dila, karya vinay. After a short time, Advaita Mahasai became pacified. He then humbly offered the Lord a sitting place. The culture is so nice, and it's such a shame that the culture is being lost. People don't know the culture, how to treat guests. So a guest comes, he's offered a sitting place, offered a glass of water, offered some sweet words. Atiti Bhagavan, the guest is God. It's such a nice culture. And I like Confucius had a definition of the rituals that we perform in culture. He defined them as the things we do to conform ourselves to something higher than ourselves. So he offers them a seat. As Mahaprabhu sat down on that fine sitting place, his associates surrounded him on all sides. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting down, and all his associates. And of course, they're not ordinary. It's just like when the Bengali Vaishnavas entered Puri for the first time, and King Pratapuja was on the rooftop looking on them. And he said, I never heard a kirtan like this before. I never heard a kirtan like this before. But in Orissa, they heard thousands of kirtans. But what was the difference? The difference is, we were explaining that before, it was Shuddha Nam. The people who were chanting invoked the full manifestation of Krishna in the form of the holy name. Other kirtans that didn't have that love, you hear the holy name, but it's more in the context of a bit of a stranger. The person is there, but not fully manifest. But when you have Shuddha Nam, the person is there and it's fully manifest. And hearing that type of kirtan, and that was one of Prabhupada's special contributions, that he gave Prema Kirtan. Jayadvaita Maharaj is writing a book, a kirtan standard book, and he sent me a copy to read, and I made comments. And it's Jayadvaita Maharaj. I call it the Joe Friday of ISKCON, just the facts. Just the facts. Many of you don't know who that is, but it's just the facts, but it's great. It's great because he saw how Prabhupada was concentrating on Prem Kirtan. He really didn't want to be distracted from Prem Kirtan. And it's balanced, though. You can embellish it. There's things that can be done. But that focus on Krishna and putting Krishna in the center. Pradyumna told me a very wonderful thing. He said, Trinata P. Kirtan, humble than a blade of grass. He said, why humble than a blade of grass? Because you can have a beautiful lawn and you can appreciate it, but no blade of grass says, look at me. But they all contribute to the beautiful effect. So when you have Prem Kirtan, the devotees are joining together for the beautiful effect. And because they have that mood, then Krishna reciprocates and wants to be in their presence and reveals his intimate full self. But if you chant with offense, it's like God is there, but not, because he's not revealing his heart fully. So he's with his associates. Nityanande, advaita te hailā, kala kule, dunha deke, antarete, donhe kuta hale. Nityananda and Advaita embraced each other. They became jubilant upon seeing each other. Vic, I'm just coming for a second because he's going to give class. I'm finishing up in 2 minutes.
Class is just a meeting.
What? A meeting, okay. Yeah, but you speak loudly, so we should shut the door. You also got one of those voices. We're going to finish up soon. What was my last point? Oh, they embraced each other, became jubilant. But yes, I was feeling it's kind of like here, coming back and then seeing the people who you haven't seen before. I wrote about that. I got picked up by my Bridgebasi driver. I was so happy to see him. And then I came and I just saw Mahesh, the rickshawwala, and all the people that you knew. But to speak, Nityananda hasn't seen Advaita in a while. Okay, so now that we have the technology down, I'll give class again on Wednesday. Anybody like to make a comment or ask a question?
Haribol Maharaj.
Okay,
Thank
Where
you
are
for
you?
class.
okay.
See me? Hi, everybody there. Govardhan. Thank you, Maharaj. I was really appreciating the Akura falling to the ground. And as you were saying, his prayers are known as being the exemplar of prayers. And here we see he's praying not just with his voice, but with his body. And so I was really appreciating that so much, that as you were saying, prayer is not just the words, it's the bodily function. So
Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. Thank you. Good. Oh, I should mention to everyone that in terms of Puri this year, the ashram that we go to, they're not against foreigners, but they're not ready yet to accept foreigners. So probably at the first week of February, within a day or two, and the last day of January or two, I'm going to have a little retreat here in Govardhan. Jagannath Priya will help me. She'll organize it. She's a good organizer. Vikram is going to be here to help anybody. And Leela Vilasini will also be in town. So from Govardhan now, because they built a road to Varsana, this is the greatest blessing. Because it used to take an hour and a half around. You can get there in 20 minutes. So we'll go to Varsana one day, we'll go to Nandagam, and we'll go around the hill, and I'll give class twice a day. So just keep that in mind. I'll put out the details. So you, Kalyana, if you're around, you can come with your whole family. What? Because they're so well behaved. I saw you, how old's your son?
3.
I saw his son, 3. He has a bead bag that hangs down to his ankles. He's walking around the complex with his bead bag. But at least it's the proper samskara. Okay. Anybody else like to say something? Say hello? Anybody say hello? Like Radhanath Swami, you can. Hey, Kalchandri, Shraddhanjali.
Haribol.
Someone says something, that picture goes into Govardhan and you're in the room. Anybody else like to be in Govardhan?
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Maharaj.
I vote, Gail.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I like. One is that you always say actually, but you fleshed it out a little bit more today. You know, how we relate to people, how we communicate with people, how we learn. So I like the way you fleshed that out today. It was very nice. And I always like when you say that the objective is not, you know, understanding, it's emotion really, because it's that feeling toward Krishna, you know. So
Thanks, Gail. Okay, anybody else? Say
Hare Krishna
hello.
Maharaj.
Hey, Bhakti Devi.
I love the Sanskrit terms prananata ishtadevi.
Wow.
It's so beautiful.
Your name is Prananata Ishtadevi. Okay. Okay, all right, well. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for a wonderful class.
Oh, Henry, Haribo, great to see you. Thank you so much. I just love is that a background or is that you're in your garden?
That's the Potomac River. That's the Potomac River near my house.
Wow, great, thank you. Washington, DC. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Kadamba Mala.
Haribo, Kadamba, good to hear you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, nice to see you in Govardhan.
Haribo, good, nice to see you.
Haribo.
Good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, Tota Gopinath here.
Kishore Radha and Priya.
Haribo. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Say
Hare
hello.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, Sri Radhika and Yasaman. Haribo.
Maharaj, we're looking forward for your retreat in Govardhan.
I'll give you the information. You should really try to come. Okay?
Yeah, we should come, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Haribol Garage. Accept my
Hey.
obeisances.
Joe Cayley, where are you?
I'm on my roof. When you say, would you like your picture in Govardhan? I mean, you're going to get a lot of, how can I say no to that?
Okay.
So obeisances to Govardhan.
Thanks. Your daughter, I have to contact with her. She's in separation. She's sending me several text messages.
It's getting desperate, yeah.
Okay, thanks. He's my designer. It's in Brooklyn. He designs all my books. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Bajrata.
Hey, Govardhan Bhakta and Vajradhe, Haribo. Okay, good. Who else? Anybody else? Who's?
Hare
Hey,
Krishna Guru.
Misaki.
Haribol, thank you for the class.
That's her farm.
It's very nice. Govardhan Guru Maharaj.
Okay, Haribo.
Haribol.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Shri Rupa.
Sri Rupa, Haribo. Good to hear from you. Okay. Good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, it's Lal Govinda.
Well, you know who came to see me today? Your main man, Raghunath.
Oh, good.
With his son. He's sitting right here, Raghunath.
So sweet.
Raghunath Pujari. Okay, Haribo.
I'm missing it down. Haribol.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. Dorita.
Ita, Haribo.
People.
Hey, you'll be busy. Oh, no, that's in January. Everybody's coming, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Haribo. Nice to see you, Dorita. Yeah. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Well, I see Śrī Gaurasundara.
Yes.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay. I pray you may join us here one day.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, anybody else want to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Champak.
Champak, hello. Good.
Thank you very much.
One more? Okay, I see all the names. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday. Vanchakopa Tribhishaka.